Hello and welcome to this edition of The Psychology of Almost Everything. My name is Peter Thompson.
And my name is Stuart Grant. And today we're going to look at cryptic crosswords. Basically asking two questions: why do them? And perhaps more importantly and more useful to our listeners, how to do them. So given that, I'd suggest you go and get a pen and paper. I've certainly got one here, because Peter's going to be giving us a lot of cues to solve as we go along. Now, Peter is an avid fan of cryptic crosswords. In fact, he's such a fan, he's written a book about it called The Tricks They Play, and we'll talk about that more a bit later. But why don't you start with the why question, Peter, and tell us why you do cryptic crosswords?
Thanks, Stuart. I think there are basically three reasons. Firstly, they're fun, and part of that, they're distracting. They take your mind off all the sad and bad news that you see on your screens every day. So they're a distraction, they're fun. Secondly, they require a bit of effort. And there is some research, and we can invite another expert on at another episode to talk about this, but there's some evidence to suggest that if you don't use your brain, you lose it. And that the effort of doing a crossword is good, almost exercise for your brain. It's like, physical exercise for the body. This is exercise for the mind. And finally, and this is perhaps for me the biggest reason, is that they lead you down various paths that you might not otherwise have gone down. So that, if you're curious about the world and curious about things, you might learn a new word, you might learn about a new place, you might just learn something. And for me, that's good enough. As I said, it's fun. What about you? I mean, you do them?
I try and do the Everyman crossword in the Observer every week. I must admit, I don't devote as much time to this thing as you do, but I do like the mental challenge of it. And I wonder, in a way, crosswords and other type puzzles, I'm thinking of Wordle and how quickly that's sort of taken the public imagination, and Sudoku. It does seem that people do like to do these things. They like the mental challenge of them. So I suppose that's one reason. And I take your point about it leading you to places you wouldn't normally go. I've certainly had to look up words in the dictionary and come across words I've never heard of. I have to say, though, I can give it a couple of hours and then my frustration level just goes.
Well, you're in good company. I have the same experience. I struggle, and I take my hat off when we have a friend, Tom Cornish, who does The Guardian every day, and he gets it up most days, and I'm just not in that league. So all you listeners out there, if you're worried about these two guys talking about solving cryptic crosswords, we struggle, right? We're going to do the Everyman later today, and I'm not sure we're going to get it up. Anyway, we're here for the fun. I'm going to start with a clue that I wrote. And so get your pens and papers ready, and we're going to use this clue to illustrate some of the basics. So the clue is this, and it's for 7 letters, the answer. Some thug ran a dangerous Spanish city. I repeat, some thug ran a dangerous Spanish city. 7 letters. Okay, Stuart, come on.
So I take it there's a capital S at the beginning.
Correct. Capital S for some, yes.
And, well, come on, give me a hand. What should I be looking for initially?
Okay, one of the first, if you like, rules of crosswords is to try and work out what the setter really wants to know. So, and as a general rule of thumb, 90% of the time, what the setter wants to know is at the beginning or the end of the clue. So here the options are: does the setter want to know something about some thug, or is it some city? And here you have to just take a punt. Okay, take a punt, Stuart.
Okay. Well, if I would think perhaps we were talking about maybe a Spanish city. Am I on the right lines?
You are exactly on the right lines. Well done. Okay, so we've got Spanish city of 7 letters.
So if this was, a general knowledge crossword, the thing for me to do now would be to think of Spanish cities which had 7 letters. But this is a cryptic crossword, so I'm sure there's something else in the clue that's going to help me get to the answer.
Yep, spot on. And it's called an indicator. Imagine you're driving and you're thinking of going left to right. You indicate where you're going. Crossword setters use what we call indicators to give you a hint as to what type of clue it is, right? And in this particular example, it's what's called a hidden word clue.
Okay.
So what you've got to look for, and the reason it's a hidden word clue, is that word some. and it tells you the answer is actually hiding in plain sight. So now have another look at what I gave you. Look at your notes and see if you can see a Spanish city there.
So we're having
in plain sight.
So you're saying there's an indicator in the clue which says some. So it means that some part of the clue is going to give me the answer.
Correct.
Yes. So this is a hidden. So there's a hidden word in there somewhere.
Correct.
Okay. So let's have a little think.
And we know it's a Spanish city.
And we know it's a Spanish city because that's the definition of the clue. We know that there's a word hidden within the clue.
And we're looking for 7 letters.
And we're looking for 7 letters. Let me have a little think. Oh, yes, I think I've got it. Yes, it's Granada, is it?
Correct.
Oh, good. Oh.
Okay. Okay, and this brings up the other point I was talking about. So, Granada, have you been there?
No, I haven't. No,
we know it's in Spain. I went there once, and there's the fabulous Alhambra Palace, and I would recommend you go there. So we went, I think, from Alicante, Malaga, and drove up, and it is well worth a visit. Anyway, that's another story.
I have been to the Alhambra Cinema in Keswick, which is also well worth a visit.
Okay, great. All right, let's do another clue along the same line. So now, for the point of view of the listeners, this is going to be another hidden word clue, and it's as follows. It's 5 letters. Nightclub in Oxford is cool.
Okay, right. Based on what you've taught me so far, I'm looking for the definition, i.e. what the setter wants, what the setter wants. And you've told me that that's often at the beginning, or always at the beginning or at the end of the clue. So in this case, the definition might be nightclub or it might be cool. And because I wouldn't know this is a hidden word unless you had told me, but you have. So there must be an indicator in here which tells me it's a hidden word. And I suppose the indicator here would be the word in.
Yeah. For the purposes of the microphone, I have been nodding as Stuart has been talking. Yeah, Stuart's got it. Okay,
yeah. So what I'm looking for is a word in Oxford is cool, I guess, or a word. Well, there's no words in nightclub I can see, so the word must be in the phrase Oxford is cool. So the definition is going to be nightclub, so it's got to be a word that means a nightclub. And that word is contained in Oxford is cool, and the word, I think, is disco.
Correct. Oh. Well done, Stuart. Okay. So I hope this is giving listeners some idea, A, of the fun you can have, and B, how when you know there's an indicator, and you look for an indicator, it makes it a whole lot easier, because crossword setters set out to deceive you. That's why, as I said earlier, that the book is called The Tricks They Play. They set out to deceive you. So let's try another, again, hidden word clue. This time only 3 letters, and it illustrates all the points we've been talking about so far, so we shouldn't take too long on it. Here we go. Feline, partly domesticated, and that's 3 letters, and there's a comma after feline. So feline, comma, partly domesticated.
Okay,
Stuart,
again, right, let's go through the principles quickly. The definition is going to be at the beginning or the end, so it's going to be a word that either means feline or domesticated. You've told me it's a hidden word clue, and so there must be an indicator there, and the indicator is presumably partly. So it's going to be either partly feline or partly domesticated. I can't see a word in feline, but in domesticated I can see the word cat, which of course is feline, so there we are. It's the answer is cat, 3 letters.
Good. And that also just illustrates that sometimes these hidden words are spread over 2 or 3 words. Sometimes they're embedded in a single word. So within domesticated, as you rightly pointed out, there's the word cat. So the kind of indicators for hidden words are some, partly, part of, in. That's what you need to look for. So whenever you see a clue that has those sort of words in it, it's quite likely that it's going to be a so-called hidden word clue. All right.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Good.
Shall we move on?
Yes, please. Yes.
All
what
right.
are we going to discuss next?
Well, let's do anagrams, because anagrams
great.
are pretty common in crosswords. And again, one of the things, by the way, general rule, always in crosswords, try and do the easier clues first, because when you get those letters in place, they help you with the more difficult clues, obviously. Okay, so let's take another one. This clue is actually not mine, it's from the Times, and in a second I will give you the exact number it comes from, which it was the Times Cryptic crossword. And the clue goes as follows. Got your pens ready. Capital P, capital M, apostrophe S, corrupt payouts. So PM's corrupt payouts, 7 letters. And Stuart, you know it's an anagram. So
okay, so you've told me it's an anagram, and I know it's an anagram because you've told me. but if I was looking at this, is there anything in the clue which suggests to me that it's an anagram?
quite so. The little indicator again is the word corrupt.
Corrupt.
So you have to corrupt those letters.
Okay, so it's corrupting. So PM. Again, am I looking for a definition at the beginning and the end?
Yes, and I mean, if you just think aloud, I mean, what's the first thing most of us think of when we see PM's corrupt payouts?
Prime Minister.
We think of and corruption and little brown paper bags and deals.
Very topical, isn't it? Okay. Corrupt PMs. So I'm looking, but it might be a payout as well, mightn't it? Because that's at the end of the clue. Yes. But I know it's going to be an anagram. And it obviously, if it's that many letters, it's not going to be. It's got to be an anagram of the word payouts. Am I right?
Correct. And notice that payouts is 7 letters, and that the answer is 7 letters. Yeah. So you're onto something.
Okay. So it's something to do with the Prime Minister and payouts. I'm getting a bit stuck here. Give me a nudge. Give me a nudge.
Okay.
I can't.
Right. And this is the other great thing about crosswords. One has to sort of think flexibly, and that's what we talked about effort earlier on.
Sure.
When I say, if you were in a hospital and I had to say there's a PM.
Okay. Oh, how clever. PM is post-mortem.
Correct.
Okay. So now I'm looking for payouts that means post-mortem. Or
an anagram.
An anagram of payouts that means... Give me a moment.
Okay.
Autopsy.
Well done.
Yeah.
Stuart, you're a great pupil. Okay, well, I hope listeners are finding this as much fun as we're having here.
Well, who says it's fun? But go on.
Okay. Okay, so PM's corrupt payouts turns out to be nothing to do with prime ministers whatsoever, a deliberate trick to mislead you into thinking about politicians and dodgy deals and so on. It turns out to be all about postmortems. And it's a great example of an anagram with the indicator being corrupt. So whenever you see the word corrupt, or indeed word like doctor, so you have to use the doctor as a verb, right? So rather than a noun. Doctor the word, or reforms. And that's an interesting indicator for an anagram, because you literally reform the letters. So they're great fun. Some people will take, when they've worked out, then let's take that example, they've worked out that the anagram is going to come from payouts. They would write a circle with P-A-Y-O-U-T-S, rather like a clock dial, and they would then see if that helps them see the anagram, as it were. Other people, my preferred method, I write all the consonants on one side and the vowels on the other. Okay. On a piece of paper. You have your workings, and you'll see in most cryptic puzzles in the newspapers, they put a little space aside for you to do your workings.
Yeah, when I do my workings, it usually covers the entire back page and obliterates everything else. But, we've all got our ways of working, haven't we? Come on, give me another anagram.
Stuart, we're going to do 5 more. They all come from the Times Cryptic puzzle, which is not a bad place to start if you're new to cryptic puzzles, because it's kind of more manageable than a lot of other ones. Let's go with Fortune Made, Breaking the Law, and it's 6 letters, and this is the Times 2021, puzzle number 2021.
So again, I'm looking for indicators. I know it's an anagram because you've told me, as it were, and the definition is going to be at the beginning or the end, as always. So it's the fortune or the law, presumably, or law.
Just repeat the clue again for the purpose of listeners.
It's fortune made, breaking the law. Now I'm assuming, 6 letters. I'm assuming that what's going to be broken up are the words "the law." So breaking is the indicator. It's going to be an anagram of the law, and the definition is fortune. So I'm looking for a word made out of the law, another word made out of 6 letters of the law, which is, I suspect our listeners have got there before I have, wealth.
Great. And notice how you don't take the clue literally, because most of us don't make fortunes out of breaking the law. If anybody is making a fortune out of breaking the law...
We won't name names,
okay.
but we all know who they are.
All right. Let's do another one. Fury, convulsed, Reagan, Regan, 5 letters. I'll repeat it very quickly. Fury, capital Fury, convulsed, Reagan, 5 letters, and that's from puzzle number 2026.
Okay, so now I'm guessing here that we're convulsed is the indicator, so it's going to be a word that's shaken up, convulsed, or the letters are shaken up. Fury's only got 4 letters, so it's obviously going to be an anagram of Reagan. I'm thinking, yes, okay, yes, yeah, and it's a word that means fury. I suspect the listeners are there already. Anger.
Correct.
Yeah.
And just out of interest, because I know you're a very keen amateur actor, what was your first association when you saw the word Reagan, for example?
Well, I went to King Lear, but I should imagine lots of people have thought of dear old Ronald.
Yeah, exactly. Notice how you're misled, right? If you take it concretely, and it's absolutely nothing to do with King Lear or with Ronald. All right.
Well, having said that, if we've got any younger listeners, they probably wouldn't know who Ronald Reagan is anyway, ex-US president, formerly a film star.
Who is a great raconteur. If you go to YouTube and look up Ronald Reagan tells jokes, you'll be in for a treat. He does some cracking jokes. Okay, let's try another one. Right. Again, from the Times, drunken star dies in accident. So that's from 2050. Drunken star dies in accident.
Now this is quite unusual.
8 letters, sorry, I should have said.
Yeah, 8 letters. Now I'm taking it that I'm looking for an indicator, yeah? Something that's going to suggest that it's an anagram. So I take it drunken is that. So I'm looking for the letters again are going to be jumbled up, they're going to be drunk, stumbling around and so on. And so it must be, I'm looking for 8 letters. Oh, star, yes. It's star dies. You've got to make an anagram out of star dies.
Correct. You found that's exactly what you should be doing.
And it means, it's going to mean accident. Sorry, folks, I know you're waiting for me to catch up. Oh, it's disaster. It's disaster.
My association, of course, following on from Reagan as a drunken star. You see, in my mind. Not that I... Anyway. Okay. Let's do another one for all the psychologists out there. Am I sane, sadly?
Great question.
Am I sane, sadly, forgetting things, 7 letters, and that's from Times number 2045.
Now, this is interesting, isn't it? Because am I saying could actually be an indicator almost, isn't it? Because it can mean that the words weren't in
it's a good clue.
In a sane order.
It's a very good clue.
But sadly, sadly is the indicator.
Yeah,
so it's some letters which are sadly wrong.
And I think, exactly, because if you're not used to crosswords, haven't done them, it wouldn't immediately occur to you that sadly is an indicator.
And so, okay, so it's am I sane, they're the letters we're going to use, forgetting things. Okay, am I sane is amnesia, yeah?
Good, well done.
Yeah.
Last one, because you've got the hang of it now, but just for fun, and I have something else to say about this clue as well. So the clue is Times number 2046. It goes as follows. Pa, that's P-A, can't, C-A-N apostrophe T, somehow, snooze for a while, 6 letters.
Somehow the letters have got to be rearranged to go together to... yes, okay, I've got it. I think it's the letters we're using are from the words pa can't and snooze for a while, catnap. Yeah?
Correct.
Oh.
And the reason I wanted to put that clue in is that, as you know, I do quite a lot of work with people who've had traumatic brain injuries, and there's quite a lot of evidence that taking a catnap is really good for you. And if you remember Paula Radcliffe, the runner, she used to, and other top athletes always rest in the afternoons. They take a catnap. So again, good for your brain health. Apart from crosswords, it could have been. All right, so we've done hidden words and we've done some anagrams. I'm just going to stop the anagram section with something from, I think it's Stephen Fry, and I've never really seen the reference. But there was a time in the 80s when the Secretary of State for Health was Virginia Bottomley.
Oh, yes.
And the Tories were in power at the time. It was under
Aren't they?
under the Thatcher government. And I think it was Stephen Fry used the words Virginia Bottomley as an anagram and came up with "I'm an evil Tory bigot," which is really unfair because, I mean, whatever one thinks about Virginia Bottomley, I don't think she was evil and I don't think she was bigoted, personally. But anyways. And the other one, of course, was not long after that. And you would remember this, Stuart. 1997, there was a general election, and the New Labour, as it was called then, swept into power amid great expectation and hope.
Great optimism.
And a lot of optimism, great. And then some people got worried about Tony Blair taking Labour in a particular direction that was away from its core roots and everything. And so Tony Blair MP anagram became "I'm Tory Plan B." And you better check these things. I haven't looked them up for a while. I think that's what it was.
A memory's been unearthed while we're talking about anagrams. And we mentioned Ronald Reagan earlier. And you may remember that Ronald Reagan's vice president was called Spyro Agnew, and who had a rather nasty right-wing kind of approach to life. Anyway, his Spiro Agnew is an anagram of grow a penis.
Right, okay. So now we're going to move on to talking about what I call hiding at the beginning of the clue. Another word for that really is acrostics.
Okay. Now, so we're on to another sort of clue now. We've had hidden words, we've had anagrams. We're now on to acrostics. Are you going to tell me, will there be indicators for acrostics as there were in the other two types of clue?
Yes, and absolutely. The most obvious one is primarily.
Right.
Or initially.
Okay.
Or at the beginning.
Okay.
Let's do a few examples and see how we go.
Yeah,
and let's take the first one.
Yeah.
So, eat less, comma, digging in every Tuesday, comma, initially, 4 letters. It's from the Times Again, number 2012. So I'll repeat it just for those of you who are writing it.
Please do.
Eat, capital E, eat less, comma, digging in every Tuesday, comma, initially.
So you're telling me here that the indicator is the word initially.
Correct.
And I see that, and I need to take the first letter of every word. So that's an E. No, sorry. The definition will be eat less.
That's it. You have to ask yourself what the definition is.
Sorry, yes, it's not every word, is it?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Yeah. So eat less will be the definition. So it's D-I-E-T. Oh, diet.
There we go. Oh. Right, so we're going to do 4 more.
Okay.
Or 5 more, 4 or 5 more. They're all similar in that respect. As you've done, Stuart, you've got to look not only for the indicator, also what does the setter want to know? What's the definition?
As always, the definition.
As always, what's the definition? Okay, so couple starting to work out. 3, and that's from the Times 2013.
Oh, so the indicator's obviously starting, isn't it?
Correct.
So it's going to be the first letter of to work out TWO2, meaning
Good.
couple.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
So this is the point, really. Sometimes you look at a crossword and it's overwhelming and you don't know where to begin.
Absolutely.
But often they're quite easy when you know what to look for.
Sure.
Okay, here goes another one. 7 letters this time. And this is a clue that breaks a lot of the rules, so listen carefully.
Oh, that's all we need.
All right, so it's 7 letters, and it's from Everyman. This is the person who writes for The Observer every Sunday. Great crossword, would highly recommend it. Here we go. Where it's never desperately short of royals, comma, to start with. 7 letters.
Okay, well, clearly the indicator is to start with, isn't
Correct.
it? So we're looking again at the starts of each word. So that will be, let's start at the beginning. So it would be Windsor, Windsor.
Yeah.
Windsor, short of royals, Windsor.
It's
Okay.
great watching you, Stuart, because you can sort of see the aha experience come over your face. And that reminds me of a great joke about, it's a rather unkind joke about some Americans who were coming to visit the UK, and they were touring around, and they went up to Windsor Castle. And apparently one said to the other, great castle, pity they built it so close to the airport. Oh, it's really unfair.
Excellent,
okay,
excellent.
how are we doing? That was about number 3, wasn't it?
Yeah, let's have another one, shall we?
Okay. Falsehood, largely inaccurate, erroneous, first of all. So the commas come after falsely, largely inaccurate, comma, erroneous, comma, first of all, 3 letters, and that's from the Times 2078.
Okay, well, I suspect, as always, that the listeners will be ahead of me here. First of all is the indicator, obviously, and so the definition is falsehood, and first of all, the first letter of each word. Oh, yes, I got it, yes. Largely L, inaccurate I, erroneous lie, L-I-E, yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm sitting here with my thumbs up. Stuart, you're doing great, and let's just do one more.
Okay.
And then we'll move on. Initially very ill, comma, really unwell, ... suffering this, question mark, 5 letters. That's from the Time 2116. I'll repeat it very quickly for those of you listening. Initially very ill, comma, really unwell, ... suffering this, question mark, 5 letters.
Okay, well, clearly the indicator is initially, so that would be, let's take again, virus, virus, suffering this virus.
Great,
Yeah, got it.
great.
These, if you don't mind me saying so, these seem, once you've got the hang of them, slightly easier than what we've been looking at already.
They are.
Oh, am I right?
No, you are. And you are right. And that's why when I start, for example, every man has almost got a signature clue, which is the primary.
Right.
And you look primary and I fill that in. And it may be
gives you a
a
start,
long, elaborate
yeah.
sentence which ends up saying Ethiopia or Somalia or something like that. It doesn't matter. Okay, so now we're going to move on to removing letters. Again, the best way to illustrate this is to give an example. So here's the clue for 4 letters, and this is from Everyman, number 3500, and the clue goes as follows. Twitter comment, Twitter comment, comma, short and excessively sentimental. So there's a comma after comment, so it's Twitter comment, short and excessively sentimental, 4 letters.
Now you're going to have to talk me through this a bit. So instead of looking for primary letters, as it were, I'm removing letters.
Correct.
And give me an idea of what kind of indicator I should be looking for there.
Good question. And the indicator here is short.
Okay.
So that would mean you take a word and remove the final letter from it.
Okay.
What's a Twitter comment?
That would Twitter comments a tweet.
Good. Take away the T.
Oh, short, yeah, twee, and the definition is sentimental twee.
Excessively. Yeah.
sentimental,
Okay.
sorry.
Or sentimental. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So again,
This is slightly more complicated.
slightly more complicated, but again, once you know what you're looking for,
Sure.
it then looks dead easy. Let's just give another one. Couple failing to start, broadcast, 3 letters, and that's from the Times 2033.
So I see, yes. There's another step involved in this, really, isn't there? Where you've got to, it's not exactly a double definition, but you're looking for
It's a substitution.
A word for, yes.
Yes.
So-
as we did, sorry, by the way, to interrupt you, but as we did with Twitter comment,
Yes.
you had to substitute. You had to say,
Yeah.
okay, what is a Twitter comment? It's a tweet.
Okay.
And here, what is a couple? Another word for a couple.
Yes, okay. Another word for a couple is a pair. And the definition will be broadcast. Mm-hmm. So if I take pair, P-A-I-R, and I fail to start the P, I get air, which means broadcast. Three-letter word means
We'll just
broadcast.
do 2 or 3 more just to get the hang of it. Possess, topless, robe, 3 letters, and that's from Times 2060.
The indicator is obviously topless.
Yep.
And I'm looking for a substitution for the word either possess or robe. Well, it's only 3 letters, so okay, I've got it, I think. So a robe, be a dress, no, a gown, and yes, yeah. Oh God, it's easy when you know how, isn't it? So a topless gown is OWN, own, possess. Yeah,
Got it.
Well, you're saying that. I mean, that.
No, this is the point.
Without help, I wouldn't have got that.
Yeah.
Or without knowing there had to be a substitution involved, I wouldn't have.
As I said, I mean, we go back to the beginning. There is effort involved in this.
Absolutely.
There is effort. Yeah. Okay, wise man, heading off for a long time. 4 letters. That's from Everyman 3929. Okay. So, wise man.
The heading off means I'm going to take the first letter of something off, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, right. Let me just have a little think here. Well, wise men could be what? Professors. They could be.
Remember, it's only 4.
Oh, it's only 4 letters. Yes, I know. So profs. No. Okay. Yes. Sage.
Yeah.
A wise man is a sage. I take the first letter off, heading off. Oh. For a long time, age. Yeah.
You see, this illustrates another point. I got that clue a different way.
Go on.
I went for the definition, which I thought was a long time. I thought, what's another word for a long time? It's an age. And then I thought, but a sage is a wise man, and what they've done is taken the S away. Yeah. So, in other words, you can get at it from another angle.
Yeah, sure.
You did it the proper way.
Well, I'm not sure there's a proper way. But,
let's do one more. Final.
Okay, yeah, sure.
5 letters. This is from the Times 2051. Crime of member of the clergy, beheaded. 5 letters. I repeat it. Crime of member of the clergy, beheaded.
Now this is an interesting clue because obviously you could go down a real rabbit hole. Think about all the crimes of the clergy that are in the news at the moment, couldn't you?
Absolutely.
But it's got
sex abuse is the first thing that comes to mind.
It's got absolutely bugger all to do with that, pardon the pun. But the beheaded is the indicator, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So I'm looking for a word. So I'm thinking of a crime of member of the clergy. Oh, it's a crime. It's a crime, isn't it? It's not necessarily committed by a clergyman.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Oh, vicar. Canon,
chaplain.
Bishop, chaplain. Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah, member of the clergy, parson. If I behead parson, I get arson, i.e. the crime. Yeah?
Great. Okay, so let's sum up what we've done today. We've talked about, firstly we talked about hidden words, hiding in plain sight, and we had that clue about Granada. And the indicators for that are things like some, part of, in. Yeah. Then we went to anagrams, and honestly there are hundreds of words that can be used to indicate an anagram, and that is challenging.
Yes.
But today we looked at things like corrupt, we looked at sadly, we talked about reformed, you may remember. Then we went on to hiding at the beginning of the clue, in other words, acrostics, and they're quite easy to spot because usually it's...
Well, they're easy to spot when you
know what you're looking for.
The indicator,
exactly.
When you know what you're looking for.
And the indicate, exactly. And they're not that many indicators, that's right. So primarily is one which every man uses a lot. Initially, starting first of all, are other good examples of the indicators. And then we did the removing of letters. So we took tweet and we made it twee by cutting off the end. So that could be, particularly when you cut off at the beginning, it's either topless or heading off, beheaded. Those are the sort of indicators for that. Sometimes failing to start is another way. Yeah. Blowing top, or in tweet, that was short, wasn't it? If I remember correctly, is when you shorten the word by removing or docking, like the last letter. Sometimes docking is used as well as an indicator. All right, so that's a start. I mean, it's a real... I just hope that gives people some sort of introduction into crosswords, why they're fun, what they lead you to do, etc., etc.
Well, yes, I'm sure this is, well, it's certainly helped me. And when I go and attempt the Everyman crossword later, I'm going to try and bear some of this in mind. I know once I hope you've got it with you, told me a quote from, I forgot the name of the...
One Foot in the Grave.
1 Foot in the Grave, that's it.
Do you remember that program?
Yeah, it was very funny, wasn't it?
Very, very
Have you got
funny.
that quote with you?
I've got that quote. That was... So Victor Meldrew is exasperated, and the quote, and it was written by David Renwick. "I'm sorry, I don't seem to be able to do the crossword today, as I appear to be temporarily out of mind-bending drugs."
That kind of sums it up.
Fantastic. Okay.
I have asked you, of course, that quote appears in your book. Just to remind the listeners, your book. Tell the listeners the name of your book again.
The book is called "The Tricks They Play and How We Fall for Them."
And it's a great way into cryptic crosswords. It's very, very easy to follow. We've been taking extracts from the book today to make this podcast. I can recommend this book.
It's not yet published, by the way. Before you go, leave, I hope to get it out in about a year's time for now. There's quite a lot of editing to do, and we wanted to see the feedback from these podcasts. Really.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but believe me, it will come up, even if I have to publish it, and it's going to be extremely helpful. Now we've got a little something for you just to end the podcast. We're going to each give you one of our favourite clues. Peter, you go first.
Okay, my clue is an anagram. So if you want to get your pens out again or your pencils, extramarital sex upset true lady, and 8 letters, and of course the indicator for the anagram is upset, and the definition is extramarital sex, and if you take the letters from true and lady, you will get adultery.
Excellent. I'm not sure where my clue fits into things, and it's not my clue. It actually comes from the great playwright Joe Orton, and the author of a biography written about Orton and Halliwell is the answer to this clue. But it's a 4-letter clue, and it's 5244. That's
4-word clue.
4-word clue. Sorry, 4-word clue. 4-word clue, and it's 5 letters, 2 letters, 4 letters, and 4 letters, and the clue is sexual aberration makes you listen. I'll just repeat that. Sexual aberration makes you listen, and the answer is prick up your ears. Thank you, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I also hope that you've learned something. I certainly have. We will be doing another one of these podcasts about crosswords. Peter, you've got something to say about our
future? We're hoping at some point to invite a leading neuropsychologist to come and comment on what puzzles do or don't do for your brain. That would be really interesting, and to give us the latest research. But at the moment, we don't have a name, but we're looking for somebody.
Yes, that's. And in the meantime, assume that puzzles do help your brain health and get stuck in. Thanks very much. We look forward to broadcasting to you again. Cheerio from me.
And bye from me.